So there are four major standards given by HL7: version 2, version 3, and these are just the names: version 2, version 3, CDA, clinical document architecture, and FHIR, fast health care interoperability resources. All of them are HL7 standards. So now this will tell you that when you say HL7, it's not just one standard. It's like a bouquet of standards. Which one to use? Are they all at same level? Let's see. Version 2 is the oldest one, and this is how version 2 looks like. Some of you might have seen MSH, EVN, PID, P1. So this is the format how V2 message looks like. How the receiver will understand it? Obviously, they will have to learn HL7 first. But see, imagine this picture: whether lab admission or whomsoever is exchanging data to another system, the format remains standard. That means how patient name will be written in this format is predefined. So it has to be PID segment. In the fifth field, the very first thing you write is last name. Whatever you write after that, first name, and so on. That means there are placeholders for each of the data. So what you write where will tell the receiver that this is last name, this is first name. Okay, so that way you standardize the data, and it's not difficult. Once, obviously, if I have to develop that interface, I should know HL7, and then we definitely have to have a technical team, and then we can do the mapping and we can understand what data is coming where. There are even open source APIs available to pass this information. Okay, so that's version 2, and this is still very popular. Still very popular. You take any big EMR EHR system, Epic, Cerner, Allscript, Athena Health, they all have V2 interfaces. So you might have heard this word V2 interface or interfaces. That is nothing but communication. You set up something between two systems through which they can exchange data. Version 3 then came in 2005, and it came with some model as well as XML. But version 3, the way it was designed, was difficult to implement. Even to learn and understand it, and implementation was difficult. So it didn't get much hype, and very less implementation. As of now, it's kind of obsolete now. CDA is like one substandard of version 3, and it's very popular, but its job is very limited. CDA's job is just to exchange clinical documents like discharge summary. See the difference. What we are seeing with version 2, version 3, and FHIR, you can exchange any type of data. That means exchange any data at any point of time. Real-time data exchange also you can do. So that means patient got admitted, you can send a V2 message or FHIR resource or V3 message. Same way patient got discharged. So admission, discharge, lab order, radiology order, results, whatever is happening between systems, you can exchange data using any of the standard. But CDA job is limited. Documents only. Documents means like discharge summary. That means patient got admitted, patient was admitted for 3 days. Whatever happened in those 3 days, you collate all the outcomes and you put into one single place, that is CDA document. Its name is document, but it's XML format only, and then you exchange. And the latest one is FHIR, which is the future of healthcare interoperability. And it's designed in such a nice way that sooner or later everything would fall into FHIR place. That means you will see, in fact, in countries like US, almost even there are government rules now to exchange patient specific data, provider specific data, payer to provider data exchange. A lot of data exchange is now mandated to happen in FHIR. Okay, this is latest HL7 standard. There are 4 publications, and the good part is it supports a lot of web-based technologies. Like it has a support, the format is XML, JSON, and it also supports Turtle. Plus it has its inbuilt REST API. When I say REST API, don't jump into the thought process of technical code. We have to build that, but it gives you standard API. For example, I want to, as an application, and there is an application, and then this application wants to integrate with EMR, and they want to get some data about patient. So they can use standard FHIR API like this: patient question mark identifier equals to this, and given equals to this. So what is this? This is name of the resource. And before that, you will have the entire HTTP thing, the endpoint thing, right? So epic.com/fire server slash whatever. This is like the base URL, your endpoint. But this part is standardized now. So how two systems can exchange data, request for data or sending the data, that is happening through this concept called resources. And then when I say REST API, the parameters are also standardized. That means this identifier given, what is the meaning, what is the purpose, how to use it. EMRs are not defining it. Fire is also only defining it. Again, not the coding part, but the functional. Functional means this standard specification is given by Fire. Even you can go to HL7, I mean, just Google it out, HL7 Fire R4, and you will find such a specification. So it gives you a concept of REST API. It gives you concept of resources, where resource is nothing but one type of data. I want to send patient demographic, patient resource. I want to send allergy intolerance, vitals observation, and it comes up with its own API methods. Methods means API is already defined by Fire. Okay. So that's the good part with Fire, and it supports XML, JSON both. So that's another thing. With JSON, it also helps to exchange data with mobile applications. So these are variety of HL7 messaging standards. So I've shown you V2 sample. This is how these are called segments, and everything where you write what information is predefined and written here. Then you have sample messages, like just an example for CDA, which is XML, JSON sample for Fire. Fire does support XML, JSON both equally.